Hey guys, Thomas the Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review the movie Close. So, we begin this movie following this woman, whose name is Sam. She is in some discreet desert-like area, traveling with two other police-like companions when their jeep is fired upon via missile. Their driver is killed, and she manages to get the other woman to help her out, to allow her to secure the area outside, take out these people who are coming in, and trying to hunt them down. So she does indeed take out these newcomers. So she and one other were able to get out of this situation. After transferring her little friend to a vehicle, it cuts to a mansion where we follow a character named Zoe. She's currently dealing with loss and also dealing with getting a large income of money. So it cuts to Sam, who's messing with her gun, putting it together or dismantling it, whichever one it is. And then it shows her working out, and there is a cut that shows that there are these two businesses, one that Zoe is, I guess, technically a part of, in this whole stock share war that is going on between these two businesses. But we cut back to Sam seeing a message about this high-paying client, and then takes up the job learning about Zoe. So she goes off and on the plane, and as she makes her way in, she says that the mission at the beginning was based off of bad intel, and that's why things went to shit. And thus, we cut back to Zoe getting her party on after meeting Sam, that is, and now Sam is her official bodyguard. So she goes to a little party, and Sam backs up this guy who keeps trying to grope on her butt. And Zoe's a little upset by this. She kind of doesn't even mention how, like, she doesn't do the typical, I can handle myself. It was kind of more just yelling at Sam, but not mentioning that. Anyways, so the two of them end up in this helicopter, and they arrive at her new house, which she is now inherited, that being Zoe, of course. And, she insists that Sam stay because she is paid to do a specific job for a certain number of time, so she figures might as well let that happen, run its course. So we cut back to this stock war that is happening in the back, and it's doing something. It's like going. Anyways, we cut back to Sam, then back to Zoe, then back to Sam and Zoe, and it does this quite a bit at this point, up until Zoe's camera turns off, and she's starting to freak out as these guys are hacking into her computer. So the shutters of this little house are going, or this huge house, I should say, are going down, and Sam gets ready as the guards get shot down. So Sam heads outside as the intruders make their way inside. And thus, Sam prepares to tell Zoe what to do so she can help her get out. And she does indeed do so. So, Zoe mentions that not to go to the police, and or as they are being taken by the police, that these policemen are mentioning money instead of helping them out as they are making their way out of that zone. So Sam fights back and takes them all out, but Zoe ends up shooting one of them. Uh, so they run out of there, and then they make their way to a hotel area where Zoe starts to freak out. So she starts to go on about certain things that are happening. So we cut to, I believe her name is Rena. This is the stepmom, the one in charge of this whole stock, or one of the two people in this stock war that is happening. And yes, it does play a part in the movie. So, Sam says she will keep charge, continue to protect Zoe and get her out of the country. So Rena is like this stepmom, as they clarify. So Sam puts a wig on Zoe, and at this point Zoe somehow hurts her leg. I don't recall how. I think it was implied that happened in the truck when they were riding, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so the lady downstairs sees the two of them on the news, and you would assume, oh, she would call. Nothing comes of that. So Rena, the stepmom, speaks with the or a guard, I should say, at this point. Meanwhile, Sam and her guy that she got out with, she calls her up to like help them out, and Zoe insists on spying on them, learning about how Sam has a daughter of her own. So more guys start to come in, and they kill the other guy, and then they start to grab and try to separate Sam and Zoe. So Sam fights back, and we see that Zoe is fighting as well. It takes Sam a bit of doing as the action picks up, and she manages to get to Zoe and help her out as well, taking out her assailant, her newest assailant, with a team choke. So, this cuts to Rena, the stepmom, getting really upset, so it's implied that she's behind all of this. So anyways, we see that some more of the policemen are on the payroll of this other guy. Meanwhile, Sam is smoking, and she's starting to do her own freaking out, and Rima is trying to get the location, and Sam mentions this is like, hey, probably should do that or whatever. So anyways, this guy checks in with the stepmom, and meanwhile, they follow this man who they were spying on. They were spying on Rima, and then they were spying on this guy. So they head over to these docks where Sam takes a closer look, snaps a picture or a few, and she's grabbed and pulled underwater, where the fish play by her side and they assault the other guy to death. and then Sam hooks him. So she gets out and grabs all the stuff that she needs to, and then drives off back with Zoe. So the two of them, specifically more so Zoe, wants to expose Rima and then say that she is the one responsible. However, her, the stepmom, and her competitor go face to face, and the competitor lets out a sly remark saying how it would be unfortunate if something bad happened to the Zoe. So the two of them, that being Zoe and Sam, head back to the house, and they end up locking themselves inside the room for a set amount of time. So she starts to let down her guard, regarding Sam as a friend, and then it kind of goes a little hazy, or whatever. They see that the stepmom has now made her way in. She gets assaulted, and then they figure out, oh, she wasn't really behind it after all, question mark. And then they fight their way out, and then the police arrive, and then and then the helicopter arrives, and then with Rima, and then, with the whole thing with her getting attacked, and Zoe heads out to help her out. And Sam recalls the password to get her out, so that she can also help out Zoe. Gets shot in the process, but ultimately saves her and gets her outside. And then they make their split ways, and that was close. While this movie is action-packed, I do think that there is a large gap of something that was severely missing in this movie. There's this indication, again, that as I briefly mentioned, that how they kind of started to think that it was the stepmother who was behind this, but they figure this part out at like the 80% mark, or even 90% of the movie, when the movie is already like that close to being done, only to find out that it wasn't her, but rather this other group. And I think that is the biggest problem with this movie, is that they set this up so that it always seems like, oh, it's the stepmom, it's the stepmom, it's the stepmom, up until this certain point where it's suddenly this other group that isn't even that well set up, that it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a shocking reveal. Even if it was, it just came too much out of nowhere. It just didn't feel right. I feel like even the relationship was a bit... the pacing of it wasn't really that good. They only started to confront each other on the whole, letting each other's guard down again closer to the end of the movie. So I think this movie was trying to place its chips more so on it being an action flick rather than, making sure that the actual setup of the action actually made any sense. And I think that's where this movie falls flat, is that it just sort of expects that you'll just go out and go, well, the action was good, and that makes it good, but I'm going to say, for all intents and purposes, this movie kind of fell apart. So with that being said, I think I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. It wasn't that good. I'll give it maybe even a 4 out of 10 for the action, but that isn't that really high. As again, I mentioned that the putting it together part just didn't really, all the pieces didn't fit, and the action itself didn't really make 100% sense, and the connection between the characters just wasn't as strong as it could have been. So that is my review of the movie Close. And if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out that link in the description or head over to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.